His hand brushed against my wrist. Light, hesitant, but he didn't pull away. And the strangest part, I didn't either. I should have stopped it. I should have reminded myself. This was just a weekend back home. But in that moment, the only thing I felt was the heat between us. Not the warmth of siblings. No, something else. Something we weren't supposed to feel. You won't believe what happened next. How a single look, a simple touch could blur every line we thought we'd never cross. Listen closely. Because sometimes, the thing that makes us feel most seen is also the thing that scares us the most. Like this video, if you've ever felt something you couldn't name, comment below. If you've ever wondered, is it love, or is it loneliness wearing a disguise? And don't forget to subscribe, because the most powerful stories, they're the ones we never dared to tell. I'm Claire, and for most of my life, I wasn't just a big sister. I was the second parent. Nathan is 5 years younger than me. But growing up, it often felt like we were in the same boat. Our parents were good people, successful in the eyes of the world, but they were always working, flights, meetings, late-night calls. So home was often just the two of us. Nathan was the kind of boy who made it easy. Bright eyes, messy hair, always asking questions, and always ready to laugh. He followed me around like a shadow when we were kids, and I never minded. I helped him with homework, packed his lunch, stood up to bullies, and sometimes just held him when the house felt too quiet. It wasn't a burden. It was who we were. As we got older, things started to change. I went to college in another city, then got a job, moved into my own place. Nathan stayed behind, still in high school, still figuring things out. The distance wasn't far on the map, but emotionally, it grew wider with each passing year. Phone calls got shorter. Texts became sparse, but sometimes late at night, I'd see an old photo of us on my phone, me holding his hand at the park, or him falling asleep on my shoulder. And I'd feel that quiet ache, the kind that whispers, "You've been gone too long." When I moved out at 23, I told myself it was the right thing, the natural thing. A modest one-bedroom apartment, my own paycheck, my own space. Freedom, independence, adulthood. But no one warns you that adulthood is quiet. There were nights I'd get home, drop my keys on the counter, heat up something frozen, and sit in front of the TV without really watching it. Sometimes I'd glance at the empty spot on the couch beside me and remember how Nathan used to curl up next to me with a blanket, asking too many questions during movies. I still texted him, "How was school? You eat yet? Don't forget Mom's birthday." He'd reply usually, short answers, sometimes a joke, sometimes nothing, and life kept going. But something inside me didn't settle. On weekends, I'd think of visiting, but then laundry piled up, or someone invited me out, or I just got tired. I always found a reason to stay away. The guilt didn't come all at once. It came in waves, soft at first, like a tap on the shoulder, then harder, like a knock you keep ignoring. I missed birthdays. I missed late-night talks. I missed watching him become whoever he was becoming. And then came the call. Mom's voice was casual, but her words carried weight. "Dad and I are flying out this weekend. 3 days. Can you stay with Nathan?" Just to be safe. I hesitated, but only for a second. "Yeah," I said. "I'll be there." The house looked the same. Same carpet. Same faint lemon scent from Mom's obsessive cleaning habits. The family photos still lined the hallway, the crooked one of us at the beach. Nathan with sand in his hair, and me trying not to laugh. But Nathan didn't look the same. He opened the door with that familiar grin, crooked, boyish, but something about him stopped me. His shoulders had broadened. His voice was deeper. And when he pulled me in for a hug, it wasn't the quick squeeze I remembered. It lingered, warm, solid. "Hey, stranger," he joked. "Forgot what I look like." I laughed it off. "You look taller." "You look tired," he replied, raising an eyebrow. "Adult life hit you that hard." We both chuckled, but underneath the humor, I could feel something unsaid. A space we hadn't filled in years. That night, we sat in the kitchen for hours, something we hadn't done in ages. He talked about school, his friends, his half-formed college plans. I told him about work bills and how coffee had become my only reliable relationship. It felt good, familiar, but also strange, like stepping into a memory that doesn't quite fit anymore. He wasn't a kid now. He spoke with more confidence, asked questions I didn't expect. He listened differently, not just with interest, but with intent. And every now and then, when I'd glance up, I'd catch him watching me, not in a creepy way, but in a way that made my breath pause just for a second. After dinner, Nathan pulled out the remote with a familiar smirk. "Okay," he said. "No boring drama stuff tonight. I'm picking something fun." I rolled my eyes. "You still can't handle emotional depth, huh?" He laughed, then queued up a comedy we used to watch when we were kids. Something about hearing the theme music again, those silly lines we could quote by heart, made the room feel warmer than the thermostat could manage. He flopped onto the couch beside me, legs stretched long across the floor, a bowl of popcorn balanced on his lap. I tucked my feet up, stealing a handful without asking. "Rude," he said, bumping my shoulder lightly. "That was mine. Possession is 9/10 of the law," I replied, grinning. We laughed. It was easy, too easy. About halfway through the movie, I shifted my weight to grab my drink. As I did, my arm brushed against his skin to skin. Just that. But I felt it. Warm, steady, lingering. I didn't pull away right away. Neither did he. The scene on screen changed, but I didn't follow it. My mind was stuck in that sliver of contact. The electricity that shouldn't have been there, but was. I turned my head slightly and found him looking at me. He didn't look away. And suddenly, the movie, the popcorn, the couch, all faded into the background. What remained was his gaze, calm but focused, curious, maybe even searching. My stomach fluttered, and I told myself it was just nostalgia, just the comfort of being close again. But part of me wasn't so sure. Later that night, I was curled up on the guest bed, scrolling absently through my phone, when I heard a soft knock at the door. Claire Nathan's voice was low. Hesitant, "Yeah," I called back. "Can I come in?" Just for a minute. I hesitated. It was late, but something in his voice, quiet, unsure, made me sit up and say, "Sure." He opened the door gently and stepped inside, barefoot hair, tousled from sleep. He looked younger somehow, softer, not the confident version of him I'd seen at dinner, but something closer to the boy I remembered. He sat on the edge of the bed, eyes on the floor. "I couldn't sleep," he said. "What's on your mind?" A pause. You mostly. I blinked. Not like that. He added quickly. I mean, just having you here again. It feels weird. Good, but weird. I nodded slowly, waiting. When you left for college, he said, I thought I was fine. I got used to being alone, but the house felt emptier than I expected. And when Mom and Dad started working more, it was like the silence got louder. His voice tightened. I didn't really notice it at first. I was just busy with school friends. But then nights got longer. I started staying up, hoping maybe you'd text or call. Just something. I looked at him. Really looked. This wasn't a boy with a crush or confusion. This was someone who'd built too much around a bond we both had let fade. I'm sorry, I whispered. I didn't know it was that hard. It's not your fault, he said, voice soft. But you were the only one who really saw me. You know, the silence between us wasn't awkward. It was full heavy, but in a way that made me want to stay. Nathan didn't leave right away after our talk. He sat there on the edge of the bed, hands resting in his lap, shoulders slightly hunched, like he wanted to say more, but couldn't find the words. The room was dim, just the soft glow of the hallway light behind him. I could see the outline of his face, the curve of his jaw, the furrow in his brow. He looked older in the shadow, and yet somehow more vulnerable. You should probably get some sleep, I finally whispered. He nodded, but didn't move. Instead, he looked at me. Really looked. I'm glad you came back, he said quietly. Even if it's just for a few days. It feels like something I didn't know I needed. His voice caught like he wasn't sure if he should have said that out loud. I felt it too. That strange heaviness in the air. Not heavy in a bad way, just full tense. The kind of tension that comes when you're standing on a line you didn't know existed until you're already on it. He stood slowly, but before turning to leave, he looked down at me and gave the faintest smile. Good night, Claire. Good night, I replied, softer than I meant to. But I didn't sleep. Not right away. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint creak of the hallway floor as he walked away. I couldn't stop replaying the way he looked at me, the way his voice dropped when he spoke to me. Not like a kid, not like a brother. And I hated how part of me didn't hate it. That night, something shifted, and what happened next still lingers in a part of me I don't talk about often. Stay with me. The next part changes everything. And if this story pulls you in, don't forget to subscribe. There's more where this came from. The house had gone completely quiet. No TV hum, no distant footsteps, just the soft tick of the old kitchen clock downstairs and the occasional creak of settling wood. I was still wide awake. I didn't know what I was waiting for. Or maybe I did. I just didn't want to admit it. Then, a knock. Soft. Almost hesitant Claire. I sat up, my heart immediately racing. Yeah, can I talk to you for a minute? The door opened before I even answered. Nathan stepped in, closing it behind him with a gentleness that felt practiced, like he didn't want to disturb the moment. He didn't speak right away. He stood by the door for a second, then walked over and sat beside me on the bed. I know this might sound crazy, he said, eyes fixed on his hands. But ever since you got here, I haven't felt alone. And that scares me more than it should. I swallowed hard. The room felt warmer, smaller. You're not alone, "Nathan," I said quietly. He looked at me, and there it was again. That look, not just longing, but recognition. Like he saw something in me that even I had forgotten was there. He reached out slowly. His fingers brushed mine. Not by accident, I didn't move. He leaned in, not fast, not desperate, just enough to ask without words, and I didn't stop him. When our lips met, it wasn't fiery or dramatic. It was soft, tentative, like touching something sacred or forbidden. The kiss lasted a moment, maybe two. Then we both pulled back, breathing quietly in the dark. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I shook my head slowly. "Don't be, but—" "We shouldn't." He nodded, but his eyes didn't leave mine. "I know. I just needed to know if I imagined it." "You didn't," I said. And that truth, heavy, dangerous, undeniable, settled in the space between us. The next morning, sunlight streamed in through the blinds like nothing had happened. Birds chirped. The scent of coffee drifted in from the kitchen. It could have been any ordinary Sunday, but it wasn't. I sat up slowly, my body still, but my mind racing. The kiss, our kiss, had happened, and I didn't know what to do with that fact. I didn't even know what to feel. Guilt, confusion, relief. Maybe all of them. When I stepped into the kitchen, Nathan was already there, hair slightly messy, barefoot, pouring coffee, like it was just another day. He looked up. His smile was soft, cautious. "Morning, morning." I echoed, voice a little too quiet. We didn't say anything for a few seconds. Just the clink of mugs, the hum of the fridge, and the distance invisible but impossible to ignore between us. "I made eggs," he offered. "Didn't know how you like them anymore, so I guessed." "Thanks," I said, sitting down. We ate quietly, not awkward, but not normal either. There was a new layer beneath everything. Now a tension wrapped in silence. At one point, our fingers brushed while reaching for the salt. We both paused. I pulled my hand back. He didn't say anything, and neither did I. After breakfast, we cleaned up, each sticking to our own side of the kitchen, like we were afraid of getting too close again. And yet, there was something about the way he kept glancing at me, like he wanted to ask something or say something, but didn't trust the answer he might get. And I didn't trust myself to give it. By the time the weekend ended, the house felt different. Not just because our parents were due home soon, but because something between us had shifted, and neither of us knew how to shift it back. I packed slowly, folding clothes with unnecessary care, pretending like I didn't feel Nathan's presence just outside the doorway. He stood there quietly, leaning against the frame, like he had something to say, but couldn't find the right shape for it. "You heading out now?" he finally asked. "Yeah," I replied, zipping up my bag. "I've got work early tomorrow." He nodded, then stepped aside as I walked past him. At the door, he handed me a to-go coffee he had made, my usual, just the way I liked it. That detail nearly undid me. "Thanks," I murmured. We stood there for a second. No hugs, no long glances, just a strange stillness filled with words that would never be spoken. "Drive safe," he said. "You too. Take care of yourself." I wanted to say more. I wanted to turn around and ask if we were okay. If he was okay, but I didn't. Because part of me already knew we weren't, not yet. And sometimes silence feels safer than honesty. I opened the car door, paused for a breath, then pulled away from the curb, watching the house grow smaller in the rearview mirror. It was just a weekend, just a visit, but everything had changed. A few weeks passed, life resumed, or at least pretended, to work deadlines, grocery lists, routine phone calls with mom. But underneath it all, I was still carrying something I couldn't quite put down. Then one evening, my phone buzzed. It was Nathan. "Hey, just wanted to say, thanks again. Things feel clearer now. I'm okay." I stared at the message longer than I probably should have. Not because of what it said, but because of what it didn't. I typed, deleted, typed again, then finally sent. "I'm glad. One day at a time. Right? I'm here if you need me." He responded a minute later. "I know I will be." And that was it. Simple, brief. But it gave me just enough room to breathe again. Still, the questions lingered, not about what happened, but about why. Why did it feel so real? Why did something so wrong feel so right in the moment? And why was it so easy to cross a line when we'd spent years knowing exactly where it was? I don't have perfect answers, but I've come to believe this. Not every feeling is meant to be followed. Some are meant to remind us where the boundaries are. The heart can be messy. Loneliness wears many disguises, and sometimes, in the quiet between two people who once shared everything, things shift in ways neither expected or wanted. I don't regret going home. I don't regret being there for him. But I do regret letting the silence last long enough for the lines to blur. I hope we'll find our way back, not to what almost was, but to what always should have been: family trust and space to grow separately, but still connected. Have you ever felt something you couldn't name, something that made you question the rules you've lived by? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like if this story made you feel something, and don't forget to subscribe, because real stories don't always have easy endings, but they always have something to teach us.